Hello everybody. What this video is about is what do you do when you come into a large sum of money? What do you do with that money? Do you put it in your bank savings account or put it in your checking account and spend it? Do you invest it? Do you invest it in stocks or another business or, buy a new vehicle? What do you do with that money? Well, this is a story about what I did with my money. And if you don't know where this money come from, go back to my previous video and watch it, and it'll fill in all the blanks. Anyway, I come into this money and I can't even remember how much it was exactly. I know I still needed a job, so I was gonna start driving a hot shot rig, which is a 1-ton truck with a gooseneck trailer hauling supplies to the oil fields down here in South Louisiana. And so I took some of that money and went and bought me a brand new extended cab Dodge 1-ton and a gooseneck trailer. So I'd have a job, self-employed job. And the rest of the money was in the bank. And I noticed it kept dwindling down, dwindling down. I'm not gonna say exactly why it was dwindling down because I don't want to get people mad at me. But it was slowly dwindling down. And I said, look, I got to do something with this money before it just vanishes into thin air on frivolous nothing, look pretties and things for the house and stuff. By the way, I'm divorced. But so I can't even remember how I came across this company. And this is back in the late 90s when the pager business was still, everybody had pagers still. The cell phones were just getting popular and everybody still had pagers. And this company, they sent me books of information. I studied it and I thought I did my research and studied, but I was new to investing, didn't know what I was doing. Anyway, the plan was that you would buy these frequencies, these air frequencies, and once you owned the license to them, the pager companies would be knocking down your doors to lease these frequencies so they could use them for pager companies. And this is something that happens. It does happen. But what they failed to tell me is, well, let me back up. To give you an idea, on our farm, we had two-way radios like you would see in a police car or ambulance or fire truck. And we had to have a license to own that frequency. So yeah, if you use a frequency, you have to own it, and you have to get filed through the FCC to get a license to own that frequency. But anyway, that was a gimmick of this business, is to sell you frequencies, and once you own them, the pager companies would come out, and their cell phone companies would want to lease that frequency from you to use for their pager business or cell phone towers or whatever. And I thought I was doing my research, but what they failed to tell me is that these frequencies were at such a high frequency that nobody would ever want to use them. They were like way up in the frequency range that nobody would ever want to use them. And so, but I didn't know that. So I invested every bit of my money that I had received and put it into this frequency license. I bought 3 different licenses for different locations. And the FCC was aware of it. Everybody's afraid of the FCC, that you might do something and they'll come down hard on you. Well, let me tell you, the FCC was fully aware of what was going on. Because after I found out it was a scam, that I called the FCC, or I contacted them, and they said, yeah, they're aware of it's been happening, but yet they didn't do nothing about it. And it wasn't just me. I know y'all all gonna call me a fool for doing this, and I was. I mean, I'm not denying that I was a fool. But it wasn't just me. They got my dad. I've talked to other people during this time, but one guy from California said he had sold all of his stocks and invested all of it into these frequencies, and his wife didn't know it. So when she found out, she was probably going to divorce him. He spent somewhere, I don't know, $150,000 to $200,000 in all these frequencies. So it was a pretty thought out scam. Well, after I got my frequencies, I got them, they filed for them, I got a license from the FCC. But it was useless and worthless, you know. That's what I say, the FCC knew what was going on, they just didn't care. And it was, I forgot the name of the company now, it was Global Telecommunications or something like that. I'm not sure what the name was. And they were from up around like Tennessee or somewhere. Well, a week after I got my license and I'm finding out that they're useless, they were nowhere to be found. The company closed the doors, turned off the phones, nowhere to be found. And I said, okay, well, I felt like a fool, which I was a fool. And I mean, this is everything I'd worked for 20 years, all gone, except for a Dodge pickup truck. That's all I had left out of it. And it was a month or so later, a man contacted me from Florida. He said, look, I see what's going on, but I know how to save your frequency so you won't lose all that money. I asked him, well, how you do that? He said, as long as these frequencies are on a tower and putting out a bing, a signal, within 12 months of you purchasing them, they'll stay good. And eventually somebody's gonna want to use them frequencies. And I said, well, how much is this gonna cost? He said, just $5,000. Well, at this time, I didn't have $5,000, but I done lost a very large chunk of money. And I said, I told him, I said, look, man, they done took me for everything I have. I don't have any money. He said, well, if you can get $5,000, I can save your frequencies and they'll be worth something one day. And I said, so help me, if I find out you're scamming me, mister, I'm gonna hunt you down and knock you in the head. I mean, I'm that frustrated. And I made him give me his personal cell phone number and his personal address down in Florida. I kind of looked it up on the internet, and there is an address down there for that, for his home. So I went and borrowed $5,000 to send him to save my frequencies, because I was killing me that I lost all that money. Guess what? A week after that, nowhere to be found. And I was at the point that I was ready to go to Florida. I was gonna look this guy up and just beat him into the ground. I was that freaking disgusted with what's going on. My dad didn't do the 5,000. He just said to let dead dogs lie. He was in a little better shape than I was. That was everything I owned. And he had ways of backing up and getting over it, and wasn't as big of a deal to him, but it's still a big deal. You lose that kind of money. Well, I went to looking up his seriously looking up his address and the street name and all where he told me he lived. And there's a street, you go down that street in Florida, when you get to the beach, his address is about 4 more blocks out into the ocean. That's where his address wound up at. So let me tell you, when scammers are scamming you, they don't care how bad you hurting. If they put you out in the street starving, they don't care. Scammers are scammers. And they just don't care. I don't know how else to put it. They just don't care. They can, if you had babies at home and a wife and you're all starving to death and living in the streets, and you know, it don't bother them a bit. They're out to take your money, and take your money they will do. So I reckon the moral of this story, I don't know if there's a moral to it, other than don't put all your eggs in one basket. Learn what you're actually doing before you go off and do it. And if something sounds too good to be true, it normally is. Diversify. If you're going to invest, you need to diversify. Whether it be stocks, investing in a business, purchasing a piece of property, it don't matter. Diversify. Even if you come across a piece of property that you think you could develop and make a profit off of, don't put all your money in that one piece of property. If you have enough money to put part of your money into it, yeah, don't put all of your money in one thing. I mean, I can't say that enough. Don't put all your money into one basket. Because if that one basket fails, it's gone. That's just all there is to it. So here I was in my middle 30s, I reckon it was. Worked all my life to make this money, and like I say, if you want to see where it all come from, watch my last video. And it's all gone. All I got's a Dodge pickup truck that I'm starting a hot shot with. And I'd been on a farm all my life. I didn't have a bunch of contacts or networking and all this, but I heard about a company down in New Orleans that would hire hotshot drivers. And I had my CDL license, and I went down there and talked to that guy, and he hired me, and I started hauling. And I was making okay money, not getting rich, but I was making okay money. Time I took all my expenses out for diesel and repairs and tires and this thing and that, I was making a living. But then it got to a point, he would want me to do things illegal. Like when I hired on with him, I told him, I'm just a driver. I don't have hazmat. I don't have hazmat on my truck and trailer. I don't have hazmat on my license. I can't haul anything hazardous. I mean, I ain't afraid of it. I just didn't have the license and placards and all that on my trailer and truck. So it wasn't legal to haul it. Well, he would come up, said he had a trailer load of acetylene bottles he wanted me to haul from New Orleans to Houston. I said, dude, I can't haul that, it's illegal. He said, oh, we're covered up with a tarp. Covered up with a tarp my foot. What if they decide to stop me and check my trailer? I'll be thrown under the jail. But it got to where it's doing things like that. I was hauling groceries to ships that were coming into dock on an open, flat trailer in cardboard boxes. And the only way to hold these cardboard boxes onto the trailer is to put a strap over them. Guess what that does to groceries? It's not a pretty sight. So after, I don't know, 6, 9 months, I gave up on the hot shotting business. So then I had a very high priced truck and no income. And I ended up having, I didn't have to, but I didn't see the sense in driving around in a very expensive truck for no reason. It guzzled diesel. So I ended up selling that truck, getting a little bit of my money back. So with that being said, y'all take care, God bless, and just be careful out there, people. It's a bad world we live in, and nobody's gonna watch out for you but you. And y'all have a good day. And if you have a story like this that you would like to share, contact me and we'll try to tell your story. So y'all don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And y'all have a good day. Thank you, man.